Good morning and welcome. We're getting started just a minute in just a few minutes, but we thought we'd get organized and make sure. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today for the 16th episode of the Business Unusual podcast. Not podcast, we're a webinar series. And we're also on YouTube and we share via email as well. So I'm not quite sure exactly what we want to call this recording and this session.
Podcast with pictures. It's a
There
podcast
we go.
with pictures.
There. So it's our way to connect with you and other professionals that are out there looking for answers right now on how you need to be pivoting in your marketing and your sales effort. I am Brendan Filbert, managing partner with SalesWorks, and my focus every day is I work with people that typically go to school to do something besides sell, but yet in order to be successful in their role with their business, they have to either sell themselves on their next engagement or opportunity, or they have to secure a client. And I teach people how to do that. So that's my role here today, is to provide you with insight on strategies that can help you get in front of some amazing prospects. Chris?
Hi, I'm Chris Motley with Motley Creations. What we do is more like managed marketing services. So we help small businesses with small budgets and big goals. The problem that most of my clients have is finding the right size solutions to execute on their marketing strategy. So we help them develop the brand and image and the messaging that they need.
Fantastic. All right. And today, this session is we're doing this in collaboration with the Women's Business Center and 1KC for Women. And I want to make sure that I let you all know you do want to check out the other events that they're also offering right now, as they are proving to be an amazing resources for small businesses right now on navigating all the uncertainty and everything that's happening right now in the market, because we just have some crazy stuff going on. And it seems like there's more questions than answers right now. And our goal in these podcasts or the webinars that we're offering right now is we want to provide you with the answers around your sales and your marketing effort. So with that, we're going to dive into our topic today, which is creating joint marketing events that allow you to really leverage those referral partnerships that you may already have in place, or you may be forming right now, and you're trying to figure out what's going to make sense moving forward with them. So I'm going to go ahead real quick and kill my webcams to just make sure that I don't suck up any extra bandwidth than I need to, because, you know, technology is my friend and I want to give it every chance to be successful for us today. Now, what I want to first of all just get very clear is who our session is for today. Every week when we do one of these, we always try to have a person in our mind as we're performing this, the content and the outline, because more than anything else, we want to make sure that what you take out of today is very actionable. And we want you to apply the concepts in your business and hopefully make money with them immediately. And that's how we structure all of our information. And to that end, I also want to let you know, you may want to take a peek over at the handout section, because we do have a handout that goes along with what we're going to be covering today as far as our topic. Now, diving back into who we're focused on this week, is we were thinking about professionals who are already probably doing some sort of joint marketing or nurturing events or client appreciation with referral partners, or maybe it's vendors, or maybe you're a vendor and you're trying to figure out how to turn these events into something that can be productive for you right now in terms of actually producing quality leads. And that seems to be one of the common challenges that I think a lot of us face, is actually having these be productive and not just another activity that is a, how does one of our referral partners put it? He says a lot of random tactics looking for a strategy. And we don't want that to be the case with your joint marketing efforts that you do. We want them to be highly productive and part of your overall business development strategy, because they can be incredibly powerful So let's talk about when timing can be good for these events to happen. And I'm going to let you know that I'm going to be sharing a lot of ideas with you as we're moving forward and diving into our topic today. And some of these ideas you're probably going to look at and say, ooh, that's kind of cool. How am I going to do it? Or there's others that you may have tried and you haven't had the results that you were looking for. What I'm going to ask is that as we're going through the content today, we want this to be as interactive and engaging as it can possibly be during our live session. So what I'm going to ask is that if you just want to chat with me and let me know whether events are currently on the books as far as something that you're excited about offering right now, or if you came in today thinking, you know, I'm already doing them, but they haven't quite worked the way that I want them to. So you can actually, and we've got a poll here. Let me just launch that really quickly. And what I'd like for you to do is just go in and answer that question right now. And it's, are you currently offering referral partner events or joint marketing events? Or is it something that you're not doing? Or is it something that you want to have as a part of your strategy? All right, so it says that it's distributing poll. So let's take just a second and go ahead and cast your vote. Let me know where you're at. Okay, so it looks like we've got a few responses here. So some are currently doing it and some plan to in the future. Okay, all right, so now let's go ahead and are we back on screen sharing? I think we gotta change something up here in order to go back to screen sharing.
You're fine here.
I'm fine here.
Over
So
here.
my screen is being shared. Well, it just went back to my original. Let's go back to where my slide deck is, shall we?
Mhm.
That's what we really want to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so slide deck showing.
Yep.
All right, fantastic. All right, so now let's talk about the timing and when some of these events may be especially the most beneficial for you as you're thinking about incorporating them into your strategy. If you're already doing it, maybe here are some ideas of what you're already doing and we can make it better, or some avenues that you may want to consider adding events. So first thing that I want to talk to you about is creating the atmosphere that makes the event fit into your client service routine that you're already doing. And what I encourage you to think about is holding these joint events when you're onboarding new client relationships. And how I like doing these is I almost think about them as it's as a thank you or a value add that I'm going to offer to key clients. So perhaps I'm going to do something that's an educational event where I bring one of my referral partners and share their insight with some of my other clients that would especially benefit, and especially my prospects. It may be when we want to help transition to the new phase of a relationship, as in maybe our part of the project is done and we want to move into the next phase. It's great to have a referral partner event at that time. Maybe it's when we want to celebrate wins. If you landed a phenomenal opportunity, or you've moved into a new space, or you've added key talent to your team, you know, these are all opportunities for you to host a referral partner or joint event. If you've got something that's happening that's creating just a lot of turmoil and chaos, or now, timing's good for an event. And it doesn't have to be in real life, it can be virtual, but it is something that's really good for us to be thinking about right now as far as what our clients would benefit from the most. I also love to have events to recognize key relationships. So let me give you just a really quick example here. If you have a group of clients that are especially engaged in helping you reach new opportunities, like they're your raving fan referral relationships. I like hosting events that are only for that community of relationships where you engage them with each other and with your top referral partners. Because I find that when you separate out and allow that more intimate communication and connection between those relationships, that can add so much value to what you're doing right now. So these are just a few ideas on when some of the timing may make sense for your referral partner events and some of those joint marketing efforts. And I wanted to share just a really quick example here. And this one is one that is so powerful. I had one of my clients that was a remodeler, and another client that was a realtor, and another client that was a mortgage loan officer. And they actually collaborated to throw a housewarming party for their new client once they had moved into their new home. And they actually did a kitchen remodel that was pretty significant. And it involved a pretty large scale effort on the part of not only the loan officer, but also the remodeler. And it was a little bit of a fixer-upper that the realtor helped them find that was one of those hidden gems. So what they did is they hosted an event. And the event was a housewarming that happened about 3 months after they finished their project, and they all got settled in and were back living in it again. So it wasn't quite the HGTV reveal party that they do, but it was just a couple months following. So they had a chance to settle in and really experience the benefit and just love it. And that way they didn't have a lot of pressure on the homeowner, because you know how it is when you've gone through a remodeling. The last thing you want to do is go from the stress of the remodeling immediately into the stress of having a great big party at your house for a lot, 30 or 40 of your closest friends. So they spread it out just a little bit because they wanted it to be fun for the homeowner as well. And what they did is they started planning this event about a couple weeks right before the project was done. And they asked the homeowner if they wanted to invite their friends and family that knew that they were moving into the area. And they also put out an invitation to the new neighbors so that they'd have the opportunity to come and, connect and meet with the family and start to form those relationships. So this was all driven by actually the loan officer that captured all the information, all the addresses. They sent out a beautiful invitation to the housewarming party. And then they also sent out reminder emails, and the three of them together teamed up and they all pitched in about $500, and it ended up being a lovely, lovely event. Well, what came out of it that was so incredibly powerful is the remodeler, the loan officer, and the realtor all ended up meeting 30 new prospects at that one event. And they were all invited, and what they had the opportunity to do was engage and form relationships that resulted in business for them. So each one of them walked away from that event with some pretty powerful results. So if you think about the spend, it ended up being an amazing example of what a joint marketing event could do for you. And that's just one area that I wanted to give you some examples. Now, let's dig into, and let me just do a really quick check. So Chris, are you seeing the screen advance? Are you seeing the...
I've got when timing is good, and I think you have a slide for that house party. So.
Okay, so do you see the slide on the screen that's the purple, what normally happens?
Nope.
I wonder why this isn't showing. Let's go back and do a quick, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a sec and then start sharing it again.
There you go.
Can you see it? Can you see it now? Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
All right. So I want to talk about what normally happens, and this has been my experience for a whole lot of years in doing these events with referral partners, is we start out and we all have the best of intentions. We want this to be very successful. Our goal is, of course, to create a great event that our clients are going to love attending. Our referral partners are going to meet some amazing people, and we're going to get introduced to new prospects. Then life happens. And oftentimes in that life happens, it ends up slipping off of everybody's priority list until the very last minute. And then 2 days before the event, everybody's scrambling saying, oh, we got to get people showing up for this or we're going to look like losers. So then everybody's rushing around like crazy people, and they're calling all their friends and they're calling other people that they think are going to have time on their schedule and availability to attend the event. Those people are not necessarily the target audience when you're trying to drive business. Normally, your target audience for these events are highly successful professionals, thriving businesses, and they all have busy schedules. And to get on their calendar takes a little bit more work than that. So what we want to do is we want to talk about how we make sure that this isn't what happens with your event. We want you to recognize that having joint marketing events can be something that is truly transformative in your prospecting effort. I have clients that this is all they do, is nothing but joint marketing efforts in order to create new prospects in their funnel. To give you some examples, a few of these are in the financial services space, others are in the marketing, some are in the legal, and all they do is create value-added content or events, and their referral partners consistently drive people to them. And that's pretty exciting, as well as it gives you the opportunity to add even more value to your current client relationships. Now let's dig in to what really makes the difference between that first example of the life happening while you're making other plans and what actually can happen in having just a dynamic and very powerful event. What I will tell you is that the more you spend time in planning and outlining what everybody's going to be responsible for in the beginning stages, the easier it is throughout the entire process. And it's funny because I have clients who tell me that it's actually less work if they look at how much time it is than that frantic last minute scramble that they have trying to get people to show up, if you do it the right way in advance. The other critical component is partner selection. You want to make sure that you engage with those partners that are going to invest equal effort in that event to make it as successful for you meeting new prospects as you make it for them. We don't want this to be a one-way street. The communication plan. Recognize that people are inundated right now. We're all just overwhelmed by the messages that are coming at us from so many different places. So it has to be a communication plan that meets with your target audience where they are, engages them and helps them recognize why they want to attend your event, why it makes sense for them to engage, and gets them excited about showing up. And then accountability, to make sure that both you are committed to that follow through and action, as well as your referral partners. And then of course the follow through is a part of that as well. Now let's do this. Let's talk about how we're going to make this happen for your business, because as I mentioned, moving forward into this, I want to give you the entire outline for how you're going to create and hold these amazing events. So before I dive into this though, so let me just take a sense of where you're at as we move forward. Is this something that you're excited to think about how it's going to fit into your business? So chat with me, just a really quick message. Let me know kind of what your thoughts are about engaging with the joint marketing efforts. Is this something that you're excited, or you're a little bit apprehensive still? So give me a quick chat here. Okay, I'm hearing from a little bit of both. All right. Okay, I hate to tell you, that's kind of typical. Some of this can be a little bit intimidating until you see that you can break this down into very actionable set steps and bite-sized chunks and have a very successful event marketing effort that's a part of your overall strategy. All right. First thing that we got to start with is we're going to talk about identifying what is the right partner to engage. First thing that I'm going to tell you is don't practice with a brand new partner. This needs to be an established relationship that you know. You really have confidence in their ability to deliver, and you know that they're going to be a really great value add to what you have to offer right now. So what that means is that it needs to be a partner that your clients are going to want to hear from. So you're going to have to do a little bit of work. You need to talk to your clients and find out their most pressing questions that they're having, or their biggest issues, or those challenges, or what's keeping them up at night. And you just, it's not a you're guessing it, it's a you know it. So there's a little bit of advanced work that you have to put into this in order to have it be as effective as it can be. So that's the other thing, is just make sure that you are being very thoughtful in your selection. So for example, this webinar series that I'm doing is a collaboration with Chris Motley, because I recognized that my clients' biggest challenges right now are recognizing how to execute that successful pivot in their marketing and their sales effort. So I went out and found the partner that I had a very long-standing relationship with. I had confidence in his ability to show up and do an amazing job. We worked very well together, and I knew that he was the missing link for what my clients needed in order to execute my solution. Did you all hear that? I want that to be very clear, is that he was a missing component that is needed right now based on where my clients are at and what my service offers to them. So when you're thinking about those partners, that's what's really important, is that you focus on it from that side first. And then as you create just this compelling event that delivers so much amazing value, it's going to be almost impossible for you to not find success in doing this. And that's really what I want you looking at this from that perspective. And then that leads us into selecting that right topic. And what is the event format that's going to make the most sense for you? So right now, virtual networking is something that is really a powerful way to engage and connect with a lot of people. I attended a virtual book club this week, and I met 8 new prospects and some other amazing potential referral partners. It's not very often that I'm going to go to an event and meet 8 new amazing people that I want to build a relationship with. Normally it's a couple of people, and then there's a few in there that are they're the salespeople that are attending the event just to pass out business cards. But this event was made up of almost, if I looked at the event list, it was 100% of the movers and shakers that I most love to connect with. So virtual networking is something that I don't want you to underestimate the power of right now. Webinars, similar to what you're sitting in right now. Everybody talks about being webinared out, but yet webinars, if you think about how effective this platform is to engage and support your community, it's powerful. And maybe you only have 6, 10, 15, 20 people show up. It's not about getting in front of hundreds. It's about you maximizing your time and delivering as much value with the time that you have as you possibly can. And webinars are powerful. Town hall meetings are something that is an incredibly effective way to engage. So I've got a few of my clients that are actually engaging right now, and I'll give you just a really quick example. There's an SBA lender, there is a payroll consultant, and there is a CPA that are all teaming up to do a town hall meeting for one of our area chambers. And what they're going to do is they're going to host just a, what are your questions related to? And they're going to be answering it and basically just gathering from the group, what are their questions around the PPP program and how to maintain compliance around their bookkeeping and around their payroll. How are they going to manage furloughs and restructuring from a cost? So, I mean, they're not there to give information, they're there to gather information and engage in a community to start building that relationship. So town hall meetings are incredibly powerful. I do a weekly call with my top clients that's called the Prospecting Pep Talk. And basically, it's a weekly town hall meeting that is open to a group of my clients to attend. And my focus is just hearing them, what their challenges are, how I can help them the most, and providing insight and guidance to get them and keep them on track. So there are so many different ways that you can engage right now. Client appreciation events are powerful, whether you do something in real life or whether it's something that's virtual. There's any number of things you can do. And then I am a big fan of what we call connector events. And that's where you bring together a very select group of your top relationships. Perhaps it's your referral partners and your best clients. And you are there, and the express purpose is connecting. So, for example, we did one of these for a group that was in the food and distribution space, so manufacturing and distribution. And stay with me here for just a minute because there's some pretty key insight into how we selected that group. So within this group, we specifically targeted companies that had excess capacity for either manufacturing or distribution. And then we targeted the consultants, change agents, or leaders that had been part of companies successfully scaling or growing or adding products or services or capacity in some way, shape, or form. And then the third group that we added was we went to an incubator and we identified emerging technologies and companies that were looking for a go-to-market partnership. And then the event was nothing but putting those three groups of people in the room together. And now, of course, you would have to practice social distancing practices right now. And if you want some really good insight into how to do that, just go listen to last week's recording that we did in this webinar series. It was on the risk management strategies for having events like that. And you can still do them. They can still be powerful. You can manage your risk. And we gave specific insight on how to do it. But it was something that ended up resulting in, it was really a lot of fun. It resulted in a couple of key executives landing roles as COOs and CEOs of companies that were scaling and growing. It resulted in actually a couple of acquisitions that took place between the smaller company and larger companies, and a lot of joint ventures came out of that. So these connector events can be so incredibly powerful. And that event had 25 people at it. And there were 4 of us that organized the event. So we each had, like I said, I think it was 5 people. And then we had, I think, we ended up with a floater. But by the time it was all said and done, our invitation list, we invited 7 people and each one of us had 5 show up. So when you do events like this, don't think it's about bigger in order to equate to better. I want you focusing on creating just an amazing experience that people are going to walk away from and say, that was the best thing I've attended. Or I really got so much out of that. I'm going to make sure I'm on their guest list next time. So that's how we want to create the experience. Now, how to get there is not, it's easier said than done. I'm going to be honest with you. It's something that does take quite a little bit of work, and I'm going to walk you through how we do it. And you're going to get this slide deck after the presentation, so you'll have access to how we create the timeline. First thing I want you to recognize, though, is from planning, we follow the reverse engineering process. So it start with the end goal of when everything's going to happen, And then we plot everything backwards and we outline what the tasks are that have to be accomplished in order for the plan to be successful. So first place is you've got to think about what the dates are for the activity. I want you to really dig in and think about, why are you doing this? What are all the benefits to accomplishing? And when I'm talking about the benefits, this is where I really want you to think about that event experience and what it will be like for all of your participants. We want, like I said, we want them to walk away from this saying, that was amazing. And in order to do that, you need to be thinking about the benefits, not just from your perspective on meeting great new people, but about how many people can you serve in extraordinary ways. So think about it from that perspective as well. And then, of course, you want to set your personal rewards or traps for accomplishing. Now, those traps are a pretty key concept, and I talked about them with a group of clients this week. But the traps are those consequences that are in place if you don't follow through with what you commit. Because sometimes we've got the carrot mentality around motivation, but I will tell you that my experience is, while you won't let your partners down, you will let yourself down more than I like to see happen. And you put the trap in place to make sure that you don't let yourself down more than anything. And if you want, I'm actually going to do a bonus video that I share over in our Facebook group. So you're going to want to go check that out. And I'll talk to you about how to set up a trap in your own prospecting effort. That's going to be something I'll put together over the weekend. So make sure you come check that out. But that's a very cool concept. And then we're going to give you the map for how to create the activity plan. And then you plot it into 90 days. And the reason you're going to do it into 90 days is recognize that creating an event, you do not just plan the event up to the event, but you plan it after the event as well. So I want you to know and really dig into what that communication strategy is going to be and how you're actually going to use that event to create a funnel that engages those relationships in a buyer journey with you. And we'll talk about that also in a little bit. All right, and then you want to make sure that you have weekly calls with the referral partner that is hosting the event with you. So it's not just about going into this with we're going to do this and then we all go forth and hope that we're successful. You got to continue to stay on top of it. This is something that you truly both need to be accountable for. Okay, so now, drum roll, please. Chris, you got your drums handy? Okay, here we go. We're going to dig into the sample timeline. Now, remember that this timeline is mapped from the event backwards, or what the goal is backwards. So recognize that the outcome of this that I want you really thinking about is, how are you going to close business and when does that happen? So your timeline goes out to that when the business actually closes, that you met the prospects as a result of that event. And then you plot it backwards. You've got those, you hold those follow-up meetings with attendees, and then you schedule the follow-up meetings, and then you send out the thank you notes that go out right immediately following the event. You have the event. Then prior to that, you're going to have the confirmation email that goes out with any directions, goes out with the meeting links, any preparation instructions, anything that you want to go to that prospect so that they really show up. And I will tell you that the key to the success of this event is the communication piece. This is what moves your events from having 20% show up to where you end up with 80 to 100% that show up, is what I'm outlining for you right now. So some of this may look a little bit intimidating or overwhelming. Just recognize, remember, it's about the quality of event and not the quantity of attendees. So I would much rather you focus on an event where, especially now, with the social distancing guidelines and reducing the number of people that you're exposed to or that you bring together in events. So I would much rather you bring together 3 to 5 of your best relationships and partner with 2 or 3 other people and keep the event very manageable than try to think about just blasting it out to 50 or 100 of your closest friends that you may not have seen for 6 months or a year. And, just having the outcome of not being the targeted group of people that you'd most want to engage with right now. So keep that in mind as I'm going through the rest of this plan. Then you're also going to have that reminder that goes 3 days out. We do share the guest list with these events because part of this final confirmation email that goes out is we will actually ask all of our event attendees to let us know who on that list they would like to meet and how do they want to be positioned for the introduction. And that goes back to that. I gave you that example of the 3 different groups with the example of the manufacturing and the food event. And we were able to make highly targeted introductions that resulted in a very productive 5-minute conversation that led to solid next steps. And every connection that they made that entire evening was as productive as the first. And it's because we did so much advanced work in order to make it happen. And these are the steps that we took in order to make that a reality. Then you've got the last call for event registration. You close registration typically 1 week prior. There's a mental trigger, and this is another one of our episodes that we talked about with the Business Unusual webinar series that you probably are going to want to go spend some time on. If you're doing any aggressive marketing right now, you have to recognize the psychology and how this is shifting right now with your prospects, because I'm telling you, it's really changed a lot. And the more you understand the mental triggers, the more effective you can be with all of your communication and how you're providing value for them right now. And there is one of the mental triggers that's called scarcity. And that scarcity is the deadline is at whatever point it is. And that is something that triggers a lot of people to take action. And quite frankly, we're all needing any encouragement we can have right now into taking action because a lot of people are just paralyzed. And then you've got that 3rd drip email that's going to go out, that the information in that email is going to be a lot about what they're going to get out of that event. So it's not so much a marketing about here's why you want to come, it's more the benefits of what you're going to get out of this. And here's what our objectives are for creating an extraordinary experience. And that's what that email is going to spell out. The second one is going to be the in-depth information about the event and what the topic is going to be or what the focus or agenda is. And then you've got the save the date email. That's more of the teaser email that goes out. But prior to sending that email out, I want you to place a phone call to have a conversation with that potential attendee, share with them the details of the event and make sure that they're on board and excited and available. And then when you have that conversation, again, it just gives you so much more of an opportunity to enhance that relationship that you have with that person already. And then you're going to finalize the guest list. Now, remember, I'm going backwards with each one of these steps. So then prior to that, you will have created the guest list with your referral partners. And the guest list needs to be something that is a collaboration. So if I'm going to put together a guest list for my referral partners, and here's a secret that I want to share with you that can really make your events powerful, is if you are going to host an event like this, if I'm going to present 5 people that are my group, I want to bring at least 10 to 12 prospects to my partners for them to review and select out of those 10 to 12, who do they most want to meet? And the reason I'm doing this is because I really want to show them what the dedicated actions that we can take for each other in order to help the event be as successful as possible. Prior to that, there will actually be the engagement of your partners. Maybe it's internal partners within your company, could be external partners that you're doing, that you bring in as a part of a value added solution for you. You're going to want to make sure that you schedule the date and book the venue, and that you just handle some of those details that are going to make it a truly powerful event. Although one of the things that I will share with you that I found really interesting is that, I mean, we've done so many of these events over the past several years, and the events that have turned out to be the absolute best in terms of people talk about, those people were amazing. I made the best connections, the best contacts. It was a fabulous event. It wasn't an event that was held someplace that was truly extraordinary. Like, we don't do these at fancy places. We don't spend a lot of money doing them. I've had clients that really have done an over-the-top production, and quite frankly, most of the time when you're having these amazing conversations, the food doesn't get eaten, the beverages they're not at the bar, they're too busy engaging and having conversations. So we do want to make sure that we have all of those refreshments available, but don't think that it has to be something that truly is over the top, because the extraordinary experience is going to come about because of who they meet and the connections that they make. And then with that, again, when you set your budget and you set your goals for engagement with this event, I want you focusing more on the quality and what you're going to get out of it in terms of building new relationships, and not necessarily into, again, creating something that is expensive. And because sometimes when we start, the perfect can be the enemy of the good. Let me put it that way. People sometimes get stuck in thinking about all the work and effort that goes into an event, and they get hung up on those details, and then they don't do what they need to do. So that's just really what I want to encourage, is be realistic with this. Okay, now I've laid out timeline. I've talked about the objectives and how you kind of get to that. Now what I'd like to do is just do a quick summary of what we have found to be truly those tactics or things that people did in order to be highly successful with their events. So what we call our keys to success. First thing is, I want you to give away your best content. So much like we're doing with this webinar, this is information that my clients received in a paid forum that I deliver, and I'm giving it away to you all for free. And I'm sharing a lot of free content because people need it right now. People need help. They need answers. They need to know that someone has their back. And quite frankly, I want to answer whatever compelling questions you have right now, because it brings me top of mind with you. And the thing is the more people I help win, the more I'm going to end up winning. And it's just because that's how people work. Emerson's law of compensation. You can get anything you want in the world as long as you help enough other people get what they want. And I practice that and do my best to practice that every day. And I really want you thinking about how you give away your best stuff, because right now buyers want you to solve problems for them. Your customers want to see you. They want you to continue showing up for them, and this is how you can do it. I want it to be an extraordinary experience. I want the audience engaged in the topic. And when I talk about audience engagement, this is where I give you the examples of the emails that go out, and then there's that communication about who they'll be meeting, what they'll be learning, what connections can be made. There's been so much that we actually had, there was one year, I think we did 6 of these connector events. And out of the 6 connector events, we ended up with 3 acquisitions or talent moves that took place based on those events that made the Business Journal. based on the results. And we were the ones that we put them in the same room together. So talk about audience engagement. That's a way to get people engaged. And then make sure that you think about creating those communication funnels after the event. So recognize that that buyer journey is 8 to 22 touches from the time you meet them. So you need to think about how can you be intentional and create value beyond that initial conversation or meeting. We want to make sure that you continue to communicate with your partner and that you have ongoing conversations with them. You check in, you give them lots of progress on what you are doing in order to make the event a success. I can't emphasize enough how important it is that you show up first before you really start pointing fingers at your partners and expecting them to show up as well. Give them that information about who you've talked with, what the conversations have been, what the excitement level is of the people who are going to be in attendance. Just show that. Model the behavior that you want your partners to do for you. Show them the way. I can't emphasize enough how important that is, because there's a lot of times we get mad at people for not following through, and it's stuff that we don't follow through on either. And it's really important that we do this. So I've got a little bit more to cover, but I want to take a breath. See, Chris, what should we dig into that we haven't explained enough at this point? Because people probably have questions too.
Well, there's a lot of things that I learned over the years is in connecting events like this and putting them on with partners, you need to find somebody who stands close to you, right? And I learned that from you years ago. I was going out and doing things with people who not necessarily, nobody came to me and go, hey, I need a whole new brand designed for my company. Do you know? And then when I get done, they're going, hey, that's great. Do you know where I can get my house refinanced? That's not an easy conversation to have.
Yeah.
So I think you really need to think strategically when you pick your partners, right? So, and the other thing is if you're curious about doing it, go have lunch with them and ask them a bunch of questions. And if they never ask you any questions, then they're probably not a good fit for being a referral partner in this kind of thing, because they're not asking about you and how they can serve you, right? And you need to both have a servant mentality. That's part of the reason why you and I work together so well. So,
well, and when we're talking, it's funny because this communication, I can't tell you how often this has happened. I mean, I just think about it. A couple weeks back, I had one of my partners that shared with me an event that she did. That was about a month ago, something like that. And she's like, Brendan, I knew what I was supposed to do and I didn't do it. And I started out, we had that initial conversation, and then I just left it up to them to invite people. And then I invited people, and she said, and I forgot about doing my weekly tasks to make sure the event was successful. And, sure enough, last minute, I'm scrambling around. I did get 5 business owners in the room, and they're all going to hire my referral partner because, I reached out and called people that I knew had a need, and I knew that they'd be available and interested and engaged in the topic. She said, right. So I brought him 5 prospects, but he didn't bring anybody. There was nobody that showed up for the event. So he paid half the tab at the bar, but the point was for me to get referrals too. And
right.
My question was, what did you not do? And she said, well, when it came time for that ongoing conversation on here's who I've invited, here's what my progress is, she said, not only did I not do it, I didn't communicate with him what I should have been doing and follow through with it. She's like, I would have been in a completely different place.
Right.
So,
and that's key, is communication in that aspect, right? Don't assume. Don't try to assume their mind reading or they're going to meet your needs. You need to tell them exactly what expectations are.
Yeah. and it's not even, because I think people get hung up on saying, okay, Chris, now what are you doing for me?
Right.
Because,
Yeah. It's not that.
it's not that tone. It's the
No.
tone of, Chris, what do you need me to do for your clients and your contacts? And how can I provide the most value for them at this event?
Right. And then if we're having that conversation, you say, hey, Chris, I'm bringing these 5 people. If I'm doing business correctly in my estimation, then I should go, oh crud, I need to get at least 5 people, to bring for that would be considered a good referral for Brendan, right? So,
And that's the demonstration, and that's modeling the behavior.
right.
Okay, so we have now talked about the what not to do. So do not wait until the last minute. Do
Mm.
not skip the planning. Don't not assign tasks. I know there's a double negative there. Double negatives I know are bad. My grammarian mother would be rolling, she'd be downstairs saying, "What?" But
Mhm.
what I'm talking about there is everyone, that timeline gets broken up into you're doing it and your partner's doing it. Those tasks need to be outlined. You need to project manage this event. It can be highly successful for you, very engaging. Make it a priority. Don't let it slip. Make sure that everybody's clear on what their contribution is in order for the event to be successful.
And if I'm not mistaken, the handout that you guys can download right now, which is in the handouts on your tool, your control panel, has a checklist for those kind of things on it. So,
Yes, it does. And it walks you through everything. It's just a quick checklist on the tasks that we've talked about so far today. It is not the full timeline. So make sure that when you get the slide deck, that you do map out and use the timeline and the tactics so that you can have a very successful event. Because now I want you to move forward and I want you to take action based on creating opportunity from the events. So recognize that the events are a means to an end. They are not the end. All right. So the point is to capture leads that you then engage in the buyer journey. So you're going to capture those leads. You're going to connect with them via social media. You ideally will engage them in a nurture sequence of emails that delivers value. It helps them recognize how you can help them and how you can be a resource. You're going to continue to deliver value through either connecting with them, opening doors for them, engaging them with your clients. You need to schedule one-to-one meetings with those prospects because, again, remember when we set up this invitation list, we wanted everybody in the room to be a quality prospect for you. So that means you need to connect with every single one of those attendees. And the conversation is not about how can I sell, it's about how do I solve problems and deliver value. That's the biggest point behind all of this. So we have covered so much ground today. And again, our goal was to give you concrete steps and an action plan that will help you be successful in your prospecting and your marketing effort right now, because everybody's engaged in a pivot. And we want you to have tools to make that pivot a success. We also want to remind you that this is a collaboration with the Women's Business Center, and they have weekly webinars that are on Wednesdays that are related to the finance and accounting side, banking, and then also on the human resources side. And Lever One is their partner on the HR and compliance that many people are struggling with right now. We would really appreciate it if you would share the events that are coming up, both through the Women's Business Center as well as our weekly podcast. We're going to be, I keep calling it a podcast. Okay.
Podcast with pictures.
It's a podcast with pictures. It's our webinar. And then know that next week, our topic is going to be really fun. Chris is going to be driving next week. And the topic he's going to be talking about is creating diversity in your product offerings. So if you have a bricks and mortar or you have a solution that you've been delivering via one-to-one and you're wanting to figure out how you're going to expand that so that you have multiple streams of revenue. That's his topic next week, and I'm excited to learn because he's actually going to walk us through the full creating the e-commerce side of it, and he's going to be talking about everything from knowledge products, so how to take and package your knowledge in an ebook or a seminar series. There's any number of ways you can do this.
YouTube channels, there's, social selling, there's a ton.
There's
So
there's so much stuff. So there's going to be, I'm so excited. I'm going to be learning next week. It's going to be great. All the way to if you're a restaurant and you want to figure out how to sell your secret spice mix that has patented ingredients to it. So he'll walk you through how to do that. So make sure you register for that. I'll send out the registration link along with the slide deck that comes out of this week's recording. And then I also want to share with you something that we are really excited about right now.
ta-da.
That if you want the chance to jump in and learn a little bit more about it, we have created a product offering that helps you package your services and create fractional services. And that is the Brand You Workshop. And if you want more information about that, in the slide deck, you'll have the link. You can go check it out. Again, the whole point is to deliver as much value. Maybe you just take ideas that you incorporate into your own marketing effort. And that's what we're all about right now, is helping you be effective in your sales and your marketing effort. I want
Right.
to say,
Yeah, this isn't all just a one certain way to do it. What this is taking your products, your services, and who you sell to, and where you shine out in the world, right? And taking it straight for you. So don't misunderstand. This isn't like some kind of, this is how you write a book, or this is how you make a movie or webinar. This is specifically for you and your industry. So
it's exciting to see how this is coming together. So I want to say thank you very much for staying with us. I recognize that your time is precious. You have invested an hour of your lives with us, and we are very, very honored and grateful that you've spent that time with us. And I am delighted to connect with you. Please let me know how I can continue to add value to what you're focusing on right now in your prospecting and your marketing effort. So make sure you connect with us. If you're not connected on social media, make sure you reach out, connect with both Chris and myself, and we look forward to building a relationship with you and enhancing what you're already doing. I want to say thanks again. Have a great day and good selling.
thanks. Bye, everybody.